20th century Odisha's historical narrative. He was a polymath. He was having multifaceted contributions to politics, literature, journalism, and socio-economic dynamics. His unique leadership traits and dedication to societal development we have already analyzed. He had played a significant role in the independent movement. That is how he got an array of titles. One is Karma Yogi from Gandhiji, always a young man from Thakkar Bapa, and recognition as an epoch-making man by Sardar Patel, alongside being noted as a great revolutionary by Rajaji. So he has got so many titles from so many important personalities of yesteryears. He was the quintessential architect of modern Odisha. Let us go to Sardar Patel's remarks on him. There was a book called The Beginning of the End. It was published in 1950, where this is written by Dr. Mahtab. But Sardar Patel, he wrote the foreword of that book. He has to say this. It was in this atmosphere, that is referring to 1947 plus. It was in this atmosphere of great psychological change and fast disappearing barriers that had the privilege of initiating the twin process of integration and democratization, which from its small beginnings in distant Odisha has gradually swept over the whole of the subcontinent. As you know, Nilagiri was the first state which got merged into the Indian Union. Mahtab was the living spirit in that drama. This is the confession by Sardar Patel. Mahtab was the living spirit in that drama. His was the enthusiasm which triumphed over difficulties, and his was the persistence which at last succeeded. Last line is very important. I am happy that I helped him realize not only his dream and ambition, but also the dreams and ambition of all Orias. I am happier still that it was that backward province, as they call it, which laid the way for the rest of India to follow. This is wonderful, and that too, no less a personality, Sardar Patel tells. Now I am reminded of a book by Donald Rumsfeld. He was the Secretary of Defense during the Iraq War. He has written the book, The Known Unknown. I have gone through that book. Therein he is narrating his experience of the then geopolitics. From that, getting the clue, I have divided Mahtab's life into 4 stages, 4 categories, but they are not watertight compartments. One is known, that is 1899 to 1929, then known unknown, 1930 to 9, but did not know, because he was an active member of the politics, Indian National Congress. He was participating in all activities connected with Gandhi and others. Then things he was aware of but did not know, areas where he recognized the gaps in his knowledge and uncertainties. That is early years in Congress, youngest member in the Congress Working Committee, Praja Mandala Uprising, 1947, and finally the unification of the princely states, that is 1949. Third phase, unknown known, things he subconsciously understood or took for granted, but this can include assumptions that influenced his thinking. He formed the Council of Ministers in the Odisha Congress, that is 1946, the last Prime Minister and also the first Chief Minister of Odisha, then joined the Central Cabinet, then as Governor Bombay, Chief Minister second term. But the crucial thing is, towards the last, break with the Congress and setting up of Jana Congress, that is 1966. And he was arrested during emergency He was imprisoned for 18 months under Misa during national emergency. The last thing is unknown, that is 77 to 87. That is, these are the things he was unaware of and did not even know he should be concerned about. This represents the most significant and challenging job. And this is from 77 to 87. A life totally dedicated to social service, journalism, and total involvement in life and letters. Total involvement in life and letters. Now we'll go to Oriya Asmita, Oriya identity. But before that, let us define Asmita. Asmita, derived from Sanskrit and generally translates into identity or selfhood. It encapsulates the essence of one's being, encompassing cultural, social, and personal identity. It signifies awareness of one's existence, values, traditions, and heritage, contributing to an individual's or a community's sense of self. So it is a multifaceted concept that serves as a foundation for cultural preservation, social unity, personal identity, and empowerment. It is essential in navigating the complexities of modern society while maintaining a connection to one's heritage. Oriya Asmita, in the same line, refers to the cultural, linguistic, and historical heritage of the Oriya people, emphasizing pride in the Oriya language, literature, art, traditions, and overall uniqueness of the Oriya culture. So this is, for example, we can think about the celebration of festivals. Our Ratha Jatra is unique. Literature, music, dance form like Odissi, sculptural marvels, Orissa is known for that. And finally, the traditional crafts are integral to Oriya Asmita. These are the things I have analyzed. Just I'm giving the summary of this slide. The Oriya Asmita is not just about pride in local culture. It serves as a foundation for continuity, unity, social development, and political expression in contemporary Orissa. It plays a crucial role in shaping the identity of the Oriya community in a rapidly changing world. Assertion of the Oriya Asmita. The first assertion came in 1936. This was the first time when the Oriya people felt the need to articulate an identity of modern kind. We have to focus on the coming of modernity to Orissa and the social transformation that followed. And it was pioneered by three important personalities. Professor Mishra has already told about Madhusudan and Gopabandhu. Now I am adding another. Utkala Mani, Utkala Gaurava Madhusudan, Utkala Mani Gopabandhu, and finally Utkala Kesari Mahtab. All Utkala is connected with all these three personalities. They faced a challenge to the colonial, missionary, and Bengali discourses. Oriya ek swatantra bhasha noy. This is Bengali discourse. They challenged this. A challenge to the colonial, missionary, and Bengali discourses on the nature of Oriya society and the first stage of Oriya construction of the self. This is the first stage. Then in 1920, we have that Satyavadi group. They articulated, these writers, they articulated new meanings that helped constitute a picture of Oriya-ness. There is no term called Oriya-ness, therefore I have given a hyphen therein. That Oriya selfhood, let us call it. So cultural self-construction of Oriya identity. Lord Jagannath is there, the figure of Jagannath, the deity of the temple at Puri, has always enjoyed a special place. Then how Mahtab and Oriya Asmita, right from 36 till his demise in 1987, he pervaded the Odissan scene and lived as a pioneer of the new dawn, a forerunner par excellence. He was a versatile personality, a committed freedom fighter, a wise politician, a renowned historian, a prolific writer, a top-notch journalist, an eloquent speaker, and an innovative statesman, all rolled into one. Pioneering numerous fields, he emerged as an institution in his own right. I have already intimated that merger of princely states, how he was the force behind it, the spirit behind it. And Nilagiri is the first princely state merging into the Indian Union, and that is how the whole thing started here. Dr. Mahatab's literary pursuits were deeply intertwined with his political life, as he used literature as a medium to express his ideas and influence the public opinion. His works continue to inspire and are considered significant additions to Odia literature and culture. Then Dr. Das has already told you about the literary things. I am not touching upon that, but just to mention Prajatantra in 1923, that was a weekly then, and ultimately in 46 it was a daily newspaper. The literary magazines Jhankar, Prajatantra Saptahik, Meena Bazaar, they played crucial roles in Odisha's cultural and political discourse. Then the most important thing is setting up of Prajatantra Prachara Samiti, that is in 1946, and the annual event of Visub Milan that he has already touched. It is a breeding ground. It is a breeding ground of the young literatures. He wrote extensively about Indian history and Odisha's past. Dr. Chand has already told about how he wrote Odisha Itihas in 1942 when he was an inmate of Ahmednagar Fort. The most important thing, Gaon Majlis, village meeting, that is started in 1950. There are 10 volumes, and it reflected on rural life issues, emphasized the importance of grassroots governance structures in addressing local concerns, fostering community engagement, and enhancing democratic processes in rural areas. Now I'm just concluding. So Dr. Mahatab's literary pursuits and historical narratives were deeply intertwined with his political life, as he used literature and historical awareness as the medium to express his ideas and influence public opinion. His works continue to inspire and are considered significant additions to Odia Asmita. We have to conclude with a few lines from Eliot's poem, The Hollow Man. I am a student of English literature, and therefore, without referring to Eliot, I cannot take rest. So that is how we have to conclude with a few lines from The Hollow Man. It's the last part of The Hollow Man. It goes like this: between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom. Between the conception and the creation, between the emotion and the response, falls the shadow, life is very long. Between the desire and the sperm, between the potential and the existence, between the essence and the descent, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom, for thine is life is. This is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. So Mahatab could usher in the change, not with a bang, and with a whimper as well. Eliot tells, the world ends not with a bang, but a whimper. But in case of Mahatab, it is a bang and at the same time a whimper. So he could change the world with a bang and with a whimper. Whenever we think about the development, architect of modern Odisha, architect of India, whatever, it is with a bang. When he thinks about the Asmita and other things, it is with a whimper. His potential lies not solely in making headlines with large-scale transformations, but also in appreciating the importance of quieter, consistent progress. Both the bang and the whimper are crucial to creating a lasting impact in the community. One acknowledges the explosive nature of change, while the other honors the quiet strength of gradual evolution. Together, they underline the complexity of influencing society, where grand initiatives and subtle shifts play significant roles in shaping a brighter future. Let us conclude with this. Life is like a flute. It has many holes and points of emptiness. but if you work carefully at it, it can really play some magical tunes. And Dr. Mahtab's life has played many more magical tunes. Thank you.
I think we have listened to the distinguished panelists. If any one of you have any kind of questions, clarifications, or comments, it should be very brief and crisp, and I would expect my panelists also to answer in a brief and crisp manner.
Questions from the audience? Please. It's for the panel.
Good afternoon, esteemed panelists. My name is Saswat Panigrahi. I am a multimedia journalist and a researcher. It was Harakrishna Mahtab who led the way of accession of princely states with rest of India. I read it somewhere that he was the person who contributed, who also contributed in drafting the instrument of accession document. Sardar Patel said about Mahtab that he led the way for the rest of the India to follow. Dr. Mahtab's influence was truly pan-India. But why so many things about Mahtab were delinked from history syllabus, even as there is no dearth of well-documented historical records available? Is there a sinister political design behind this?
See, the point is, please try to understand that we are celebrating the 125th birth anniversary of a very important person, not only of this country, not only of Odisha, but of India. Let us not reduce it to a mudslinging. I mean, it is time to use it, celebrate him. It is time to critically evaluate him. It is time to understand the legacy of it. For God's sake, do not bring this mudslinging approach here, because this is not the place. You can do it when you gossip in your tea stall. This is a place where we evaluate a person critically. His contribution to the nation building, his contribution to the very capital city where we are sitting here and discussing, his contribution to the institution, nation decisions. I'll be coming and speaking that. You see, with due respect to the media friends, this is an age of sensationalizing media. Enough of sensationalization. The critical media is equally irrelevant. Here we need critical media, not sensationalizing media.
But sir, there was an injustice.
Please.
In my right, sir.
You have every right, but we have certain responsibility. The point is, this is not a place to show your wisdom. This is a place to pay tribute to a man. This is a place not to resort to any kind of mudslinging. I mean, all these things we can do, we are doing it for the last 75 years. For God's sake, let us have a critical approach to our history and historiography and our nation building. Do you know that so many stalwarts are sitting here? Do you know that the major criticism that I make to myself, that have we written an intellectual history of Odisha? No. The answer is no. Let us discuss those things. किए काहे कौन कहला ताको इंपोर्टेंस दियानी ये दियानी एगुडा आज्ञा आपण से डेली डे टू डे जर्नल ले लिखिबे नॉट हियर दिस इज नॉट द प्लेस सॉरी आई एम एक्सरसाइजिंग माय अथॉरिटी एज ए चेयरमैन थैंक यू
A very good morning to all the panelists here. I'm Shruti Pandey and I hail from Delhi. I've been working in the business of news media in the industry, and of late, since the last 14 odd years, I've been associated with the media academics. So my question hails from this fact. We had a discussion where it was said that actually the number of students in media these days are actually decreasing. The number of students who are taking admission in media are decreasing. Yes, that's been my observation, and it's been a very critical point of my research study as well. So the question is in regards to what do you see as the solutions? I mean, firstly, we understand that media, I believe, that's my personal view, has been exploited to a quite good and deep intent in India. But apart from that, we still will always need students in media to ensure that the industry goes on and flourishes. After all, it's the fourth pillar of our democracy. So what are the things, according to you, the esteemed panelists, you would recommend that we as media academicians can work forward to?
Who will take up? You, sir? I mean, yeah, I mean, could you be very specific, madam?
Very specific. Why are the number of students decreasing? Why people are
In
not
media?
opting? Yes,
In media?
In media, the number of students seeking admission, they are seeking admission in BBA, MBA, every type of program.
Right. On the contrary, I would think that there is a rush towards media. I mean, that may be your perception, but as a generalist, I would think that more and more students are going to media because it had its own, the expansion, the way the media is expanding. And I think in the last 30 years, the expansion, you may say whether our students in the media are getting adequate money or not, adequate, that kind of thing, that is a good question to me. Because you find a very elite media who are getting a lot of money, they're minting money. But on the contrary, the beginners are struggling. I think that's a very fair question, madam. Rather than saying that to me, media has expanded and it has infinite scope of expansion because we are engaged with media. Can you tell me, madam, any subject, any discipline, any government machinery can do these days without media? The answer is no. Therefore, you have tremendous scope. But yes, I think.
Madam, I will try to answer this question. What is the future of philosophy? Do you know not a single important book in philosophy has been written in the last 50 years in America?
I agree.
Those philosophy will die. So if you want to be a journalist, the social media is there. Of course, I know, I understand. The print media age is gone. TV is also gone. But a thinking intellectual, thinking people like you have always a platform like social media. So we will stick to that. And now we have to substitute it because we have to very, so you see, unlike a television journalist, what do you think of this and that? No thinking, no application of mind. Now any journalist, you are going to train your students, they should first they should read a lot, think a lot, contemplate a lot. So that's always, I think there is always a place in the top.
Thank you so much. It was very beautifully answered. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Any more questions? Please.
Madam, I have a suggestion for you.
Sure.
There is subaltern studies in history these days, in the 70s. So those who are not recognized or not properly taken, they are taken through subaltern studies, that category. So I hope, let media take it up. It is a responsibility for all of you.
Why not? Of course.
So that is how a new beginning for a greater end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We will take the last question, then we will. Okay. Okay, sir. Now I would like to request our Honorable Chairman of the session, Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, sir, for the closing remarks.
My distinguished panelists and dear friends, we are running short of time, therefore I will not take more time than this. I'm sorry if I sound harsh because I'm a teacher and I stand by certain etiquettes. That etiquettes may sound very conservative, very out of place, but that's what I am. I'm sorry, I beg your apology. Now we are celebrating this 125th birth anniversary of a great son of the soil, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahtab. I mean, I was, frankly speaking, unlike the panelist, I don't know, I do not claim much about a very deep reading on Mahtab. I don't claim that. But for last 3 days, on 21st, the Madam President of India inaugurated this program in Vigyan Bhavan. And I was looking at different, this exhibition and also the film, and then I was making some reading. I'm trying to visualize that man. Look at this person, Agarpada, his birthplace, his maternal grandfather adopts him, he becomes a jamindar, studies in primary school, then comes to Bhadrak High School. He knows about Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, and his Bengali teachers are are telling how the anti-colonial movement is taking place, the exploitation of the British. And then, just before his matriculation examination, the mother dies. Suddenly he has to get married. But look at this man, he got first class. Mind you, getting a first class in matriculation those days, it is like 3 gold medals of these days. So look at, he was a very bright student. Then he's coming to Revensa. Try to see the evolution of the mind of that man. Then he's coming to Revensa. And at Revensa, whom does he meet? Who are his friends? Nityananda Kanango, Navagostu Chaudhary, Mahapatra, Kon Mahapatra? Bhagirathi Mahapatra. These were his friends. And they are the very progressive lot. They are thinking of, they must do something. That youthful spirit was boiling. And that was the time, again, he is coming in contact with Madhusudan, Utkal Gaurav Madhusudan. If I am not incorrect, 1918, 17 or 18 Utkal Samilani, he was acting like a volunteer, draws the attention of Madhusudan. Then he is also influenced by Gopal Das. Now, with this kind of a background, then he's having his views. He could have been getting a first class in matriculation those days and coming to Revensa. He could have he could have been a jamindar, which his father wanted, or he could be a very easily deputy collector in a government. Bahut aasan tha. It was extremely easy. But look at the man. He is relinquishing jamindari. He is not getting into bureaucracy. He is delving himself into a very uncertain future. And that uncertainty, that's a kind of the clarion call. Separate statehood of Odisha as well as the movement, Indian nationalist movement. Now again, all these things have been told. Now, when is becoming chief minister? For last prime minister and first chief minister. Look at the man. You see, we do not have the kind of money that we have. Odisha didn't have that kind of money. Nation is coming up. But look at the man, his ideas. All the institutions that you come across are his brainchild. I think Dr. Suma Chand has already said, Dr. Gaurav has already, they have already stated, whether it is State Museum, whether it is Science Academy, whether it is Lavitkal Academy, any academy that you are talking of, it is his brainchild. He is looking after, sort of getting Nehru and laying the foundation stone of Hirakud Dam. And do you know that when he was in Ahmednagar jail, there was an Indian civil service officer here in Odisha, Marathi from Maharashtra, Gokhale, Mr. Gokhale. Now at the time, there was a debate where the capital city will be, whether it will be at Cuttack, whether it will be at Bhubaneswar, whether it will be at center, sometimes Barampur, and and Barampur, but then also in Angul Talcher area also, something like that, 4 areas. But Gokhale thought that Bhubaneswar is the right place. And Gokhale could visualize that this man who is in Ahmednagar jail, he has the potentiality of coming back as sort of chief minister, a prime minister and that kind of thing. So Gokhale all the way, he immediately went to Ahmednagar and said that this is my view, and Mahtab picked up. And the rest is history. It was Mahtab who stood on very firm ground that it should be Bhubaneswar. And that's why the capital is. So what I meant to say is that touch whatever you want, whether it is High Court, whether it is then also Utkal University. I mean, name any institution that you are thinking of today, there is an imprint of Mahtab. So we must celebrate that, because he didn't have money. Try to understand, he didn't have money. Struggling, just a nation is emerging. And when a nation is emerging, what kind of foundation stone you want to give? There the ideas come in. Because you have a bright mind, you have a scintillating intellect, he laid foundations or saved these institutions which are coming up, which have come up now. Therefore, to me, although we didn't have much money during that time, that he had the ideas to save a state's destiny. I think that is the greatest tribute we can pay on the 125th year of his birth. I will just take 2 minutes to discuss about his ability. What happens is, when you hear a politician, the politician is a great communicator. You are students of mass media, you know it better than all of us. But here is a man who would speak differently if he is speaking on different occasions. Let me be very concrete. Supposing he is addressing a seminar, he will be speaking like an intellect. Perfect intellect, like a professor. But when he is dealing with the common masses, his language, his way of expression, his examples, they are so lucid that I never use the term called illiterate. I use the term non-literate. Even a non-literate person can understand. Now, that is the strength of Mahtab. Very few people these days have that capability to address to give addresses at different levels, catering to the needs of the different people. There was Mahtab. And then the idea was when he was talking of this Gaon Majlis has been told in an umpteen times. Yet I will repeat, Gaon Majlis was a column. When we were students, we used to read that, because you will understand the entire state, not merely in terms of village, what is happening in the village, but when he was talking about the village, please, for God's sake, do not think that he was treating village as an autonomous unit. He was trying to find out the linkages. These days, what we are talking of from local to the global, the linking between the local and the global. His Gaon Majlis is a brilliant example of what we now call local and the global, because he will start with a problem in the village, but then threads will be there, here and there, and then he will take it to a very broader platform. Now, that kind of analysis is needed. Therefore, I would request all the mass media students, as a matter of principle, please go through Gaon Majlis, because if you read Gaon Majlis, you will find how the narrative is made, and that will help you in understanding not only our society, but also how you communicate to the masses of the state. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me a present hearing, and I apologize if I sound inconvenience to anyone. I convey my deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Pari for inviting me. I convey my sincere thanks to all my distinguished panelists, and I apologize that I had to disturb you who are in your full flow.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Professor Padhi, Upendra Padhi, sir, to felicitate the speakers and the guests on the dais. Our chairperson was saying a very beautiful thing. Village is the structural and functional unit of the globe. If you want development across the globe, that needs to be started from the village. Thank you, sir. Give a big hand, please. ऑडियंस में जोश होना चाहिए. चाहे लोग कम हो, अगर तालियां ज्यादा हो तो पूरा हॉल गूंज उठेगा. Professor Soma Chand, former Professor of History, Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Now, the turn for Dr. Gaurav Das, sir, eminent writer, journalist, and academician. Please continue with your applause. तालियां बजती रहनी चाहिए. Professor Surya Narayan Mishra, sir, former Professor of Political Science, Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. To honoring Dr. Nisa Monikar, sir, Professor Bhima Bhai Chair, Utkal University of Culture. And we will go for a group photograph at the end. Thank you, respected speakers. Thank you, Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, sir, for chairing this session. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Soma Chand ma'am, Professor Surya Narayan Mishra, sir. Thank you, Dr. Gaurav Das, sir, and thank you, Professor Nisa Monikar, sir, for your valuable time, insightful discussion, and the thoughts that you have shared with our audience, with all the participants from across the country. Thank you all. We are coming to the end of this session. But before we wind up, I just want to make an announcement. All the paper presenters need to assemble at the registration counter after the lunch. Bus will carry them from Conclave venue to KSMC for paper presentation sessions. So this is, please inform all your friends. Thank you all once again. I will wind up with 2 lines of poetry. सुंदर जेतिकी अंधार सेतिकी एही जे गहन बन तेणु तू आपणा संकल्पे अटल अचल रहरे मन आगरे पड़िछि पथ बहुदूर चालिबाकु अछि बाकी चालिबी चालिबी न पड़िबी थकी मुदिबा आगरु आखि. We are carrying the legacy of Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatap and miles to go before we sleep. We are dreaming of a state, the modern Odisha, which is continuously improving, developing, and the journey of development will continue. Thank you all. Jai Jagannath. Namaskar.